Hi, I'm Jackie.
And I'm Seth.
And this is Never TMI,
where we talk about real things.
And nothing is ever off limits.
Good day, everyone on the podcast.
Good day, good day. We record from our room, and there's
like the
a lawnmower happening, so
the
hopefully you guys don't hear it.
Window.
Well,
up,
hello. I hope everybody's doing so well.
I know. I love when we go live on this. It's like it feels
it's like we're literally not talking to anyone right now, but like it feels like it. Like knowing that people will hear this, it's like, oh, it just feels intimate and special. Yeah, it is. It's like okay, here we go.
This space of conversation with people, even though it's just between us, but it's like it's kind of a cool phenomenon.
Absolutely.
All right, let's jump into this one.
Oh, okay.
Oh, did you have something to say?
I love how you're like, we need to work on just like easing into it. Maybe chatting up a little bit, and the past few times you've been like, okay, we're going to get right into it.
Okay, let's side conversation.
Yeah.
Let's talk about podcasting for a second. If anyone is interested in what it's like to do a podcast, I think we can give you a very real perspective here.
Yeah.
You want to go first?
I mean,
What's it like?
What do you have in mind? Oh, what is it like podcasting?
Jackie.
Yes.
Jackie, what is it like to be famous? No, I'm kidding.
What?
To have a podcast. Like, what is it like to have a podcast?
Definitely doesn't feel famous. That's for sure. Oh, that's funny. Literally, no. It is like, it's so funny because when I listen to other podcasts, I'm like,
I think of it's famous funny. People. When I think of podcasts, I think of famous people, and I just think
people who like deserve a platform, and I feel like we're like, is anyone there? No, I feel like I probably have like a newfound appreciation for people who I listen to. Like, I really don't listen to many podcasts, actually. Like, I'm not a podcast person.
Give me your top, like, 3 podcasts.
Tim Ross, hands down.
The Basement.
Tim Ross, The Basement. If you haven't listened to that, I mean, he knocks my socks off, blows me away every time. And you know you're doing it well when you can sit and listen to someone for 2.5 hours. Like,
yeah, his are long.
His are so long, but I adore him. He used to be a pastor. I think he stepped down literally months ago, and is like podcasting now, which is so cool. But he's just so real and has just the best conversation if I'm cleaning or if whatever. You didn't ask for all this, but I love him. And then to take a sharp left, probably Emma Chamberlain. Again, I think I'm just drawn to like real, raw, authentic people. Like, that's it. Emma Chamberlain, she is unapologetic and funny, and like, I don't even agree with half the things she says, but I respect her honesty and openness, and just like, she's hilarious to me. I just think she's amazing. And I love hearing her perspective because she's so, like, it's her perspective. It's like it's Emma Chamberlain's perspective.
Oh.
And that I really love. And the topics she talks about are literally so random. And yeah, it's just like curiosity. So probably them two. But again, I'm not a podcast person. Pardon?
Them two? Those two?
Those two, them two. I know. I love them though. And it's been interesting. I feel like when I listen to ours back, if I do, like, I don't even think I do it anymore because I'm just like, I can't even. Like, all I do is sit there and just nitpick myself. But it's interesting, it's like you want to be like catching, you want it to be interesting, all that kind of stuff, but at the same time you're just like, who knows if this will appeal to anybody, but this is where I'm at. And
well, that's what I love about podcasts, because
you're just chatting.
It's just like, I listen to, like, when I think of podcasts, I think of big people like Joe Rogan,
I don't even know who that is.
Tim Ross. I think his is great. Even what's another great one? I don't listen to that often, but the Unashamed podcast with the Duck Dynasty people.
Oh, yeah.
They've done like a great job with theirs. Shawn and Andrews is great as well. So like I think of like big time people like that, or like
really doing it,
like big names. But then there's also those podcasts of like, and I think I listen to a lot of sermons on podcasts, but like pastors that
Amos Johnson for you,
people you would have no idea who these people are.
Yeah,
but there's
like change your life.
But yeah, it's like I found this niche person who just I really enjoy the way that they do it, and like the content that they're producing. Yeah. Like I can relate with it. It's real. It's educational. Like whatever it is. And that's the thing. Not all podcasts are the same. Like some are education, some are pleasure, some are anywhere in between. And so I do think that's the cool thing about it.
I think too, for us, like. I think at first it was like never TMI, relationship. Like that was the lane it felt like we kind of had to stay in. And that at least in my brain, it was like, okay, this is what people care about. But I feel like, and that's important. And I do feel like there's a place for that on this podcast and will always be.
Oh, for sure.
But I feel like lately I've been like, what else? There's so many other things that we're talking about and going through and living through and thinking about, so many things happening in our world. Like, I don't want to just shy away from those things because it's not relationship related. Like there's so many things I'm passionate about that have nothing to do with our relationship. You know what I mean? So I feel like, we're kind of more or leaning towards exploring like, okay, like we don't need to be so like bound by this topic. Like, let's talk about other things. And
I think our lane is like being real, and that
about all of it.
That can cover different stuff.
Yeah.
And so, but I guess to get back to the original question, creating a podcast is way harder than I thought it would ever be.
And we don't even do all the work.
And we literally, shout out to
Family Made, man.
But it's just like, I don't know, the life, like the struggles of life with kids, fitting it in the workday, like it, like, and that's
especially with us where we don't have a babysitter, we don't.
Right.
They're not in school. Like Kennedy's turns 4 in September is not in school, which kind of makes me like stress a little, but
then you think about like all the, and we've had so many like audio issues.
Oh my gosh. Like we will send full blown.
The time we've spent in actually making is probably double of what's produced because of audio issues. Like you don't know it until you.
And every time it's one that we're like, that was so good. Like, man, I'm excited about this one. And then they're like, hey, Jackie.
And we're not even doing the editing.
No,
like, there's
Family Made team. They do it all and they're incredible. But they're like, hey, Jackie. So none of the audio was picked up. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me?
But then even like content creation.
Yeah.
And this is, it comes with it. But just as we do this more, these are things that I did not think about. So if you want to start a podcast, I would just
hire somebody, have a team.
Have a team for sure, but think too, like it's work to come up with content, like to know what your lane is, like we're talking about, and then to be able to speak into that or like prepare something.
Find the balance of like hoping this helps somebody, but also just having conversation. Like that's hard because we could have an incredible conversation and people are like, this literally is pointless to me. No. But absolutely to the creative part, it's like we don't have like a creative director. Exactly. Right. It's like, what are we going to talk about today? Let's start thinking throughout the week, like what can we, and I should probably do a better job of like asking like, what do you guys want to hear about? I know. I don't know. Needless to say, if you haven't picked up the point already, if you're here, we're very thankful that you're here. Yes. And it means a lot to us.
We really enjoy this experience.
Yes.
Even though it's been a bit more challenging.
Yes, and then when this baby comes, woof, who knows? That's going to look like.
We should interview her on the podcast one day.
Right, just let her cry. That is what I'm nervous for, but it's fine. It's going to be great, and you guys will just be along for the ride with us. But today, we kind of just wanted to like give you guys some real life updates, things that we've been thinking about and talking about that I haven't shared anywhere that have, I'm like the least private person I know. So Seth and I are opposite. He's pretty private. So like if ever there's like a conversation about something, I'm like ready to tell the world, and it's in its first stage. And Seth is like, literally, please don't say anything until we've made the decision yet. So I hate when people are like, I can't tell you yet, but something exciting is happening. But nothing exciting is happening. We just want to just update you guys. Like I haven't, not on purpose. I haven't like purposefully not shared these things, but they've just been like recent conversations, thoughts, struggles.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of it is just like where we're at.
Yeah.
Like
in life
and kind of like what the
big things are.
Not struggle, right, but just like things that we're wrestling with right now.
Yeah, like the landmines, I would say, in our relationship and life.
I wouldn't even say they're all landmines, but it's just like, I feel like we've kind of hit this season of life where, I don't know, it's like...
It's kind of like, ooh.
It's just kind of like a lack of satisfaction from just regular day-to-day life.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I feel like we've hit that spot a few times, and I don't know, I think the last time what did we do? We went to Coronado.
Yeah. Seth got really sick.
Oh, yeah.
This was 2 years ago. Seth got really sick with COVID, like late. It was like late in the game when everyone was not really getting sick anymore. And I think it was like that like second round. I don't know, how it all works, but I just know he tested positive for COVID, and it was awful. Like it literally almost took him out, and I don't say that dramatically. He ended up with pneumonia, literally couldn't walk. There were times I walked in and he was on the floor, like out of the shower, like in the room, and just it was really scary. And it was like 3 weeks of just, I think Evan was a few months old, and it was just a rough time. And so, yeah, that was kind of the last time that we were like, oh, just a perspective shift happened. And it was actually Seth's idea. And Lord knows I jumped on that really fast and was like, this never happens. You need a trip? Great, let's go. And so we went to California for a month.
And that was it was like the thought of, and I think the hardest thing about COVID, honestly, was the isolation.
Yeah.
Just like for 3 weeks, not getting to really interact and being in your thoughts. But it made me question, like, is what I'm doing in life really worth it?
Yeah.
And I feel like we're kind of at that space now.
Yeah.
I guess it started, I think we mentioned this, but probably 3 weeks ago now, we got a set of washer and dryers.
Oh my gosh.
Which was way too long and overdue.
Yeah.
And so
$300 Facebook Marketplace. They were great, but it came with a little issue.
Yeah. Don't know if I would fully recommend.
I know, right? I know. We'll get into that. Continue. Sorry.
But essentially, so we've been able to catch up on too much laundry, and in doing so, we've been essentially
basically decluttering our entire home.
Decluttering our
nesting.
lives. Yeah, and definitely Jackie's in the nesting phase for sure with this baby on the way. But it's like we see so much, mostly a lot of it's clothes, but just stuff that we have accumulated over time.
Yeah.
And it just makes you feel like gross. It's like,
and this is after like giving away 15 bags of clothes. And I'm like, I still have unbelievable amounts of laundry to do. Like, how is this possible? things we haven't seen in so long, like in going through everything. Yeah, it's been shocking. It's just like.
And the sad part is it's not even like, it's not like quality stuff. It's just like.
These aren't like heirlooms or anything. It's just like Amazon
it's just like stuff that you accumulate over time. So.
Yeah. So we basically, there's this documentary too that we've been watching that I think is pretty big because it was in like the top 10 on Netflix, but it's called How to Get Rich. And we started watching it, or like I started watching it. I think Seth was like in the kitchen, maybe getting some work done or something. And then just, it kind of caught his eye too. And we were like, this is actually really good. And just a quick summary for those who don't know, like what it is about. It's essentially just this, I don't know if he's clearly in finance, but maybe he's a financial advisor, I think. But he's just helping a bunch of different people in different phases of life, different ages, demographics, whatever, with their finances, and just helping them to see and understand, like, whether you make $500,000 a year or, $40,000 a year, you can have a rich life. And like, what does that mean? How can we get you out of debt? Where are the holes in your spending and saving and debt and income and all that kind of stuff? And how can we like patch those and fill those and get you in like a healthy financial position? So there's like people who really wanted to buy a home, and so she buys a home and she's like, can't even afford hot water. So it's been 6 months and she doesn't have hot water. And it's like, she thought buying a home was like, man, I made it. So I really wanted to buy this home, and she just can't afford it. She's living like above her means every month and all that kind of stuff. So that's just an example. There's so many of them, but we really took like little nuggets from each episode, and we're still kind of going through it. We're not like huge. I don't know. We have like 3 shows that we're switching back and forth between, but that was definitely eye-opening. And I would say the biggest conversation that came from that was, number one, like Seth just said, like, we look around and we're like, wow, we have all this stuff. We literally moved into this house. A lot of things we saved for, a lot of things we were just like, let's just do this. We're eating at our kids' craft table. Like, it's been 3 months. Let's just, fill up this place with some furniture. So we look around and it's like those things I love, but it's like, was it the wisest thing? Or our rent, like, are we paying so much for rent? Like, is there a way we can kind of pay less for rent, or get rid of some things? Seth was talking about selling our Peloton. Like, we're literally just like, okay, we have a lot of stuff. We're kind of living at the top of our means. We don't have a stable income. Obviously, what I do, Seth does, and he, praise the Lord, like, we're able to like take care of expenses off of his paycheck, but mine is kind of all over the place. So it's like, we're like using the credit card sometimes because we know it's coming. So yeah, all of that kind of led to like this big idea of like, what if we got a tiny house? Like, what if we stopped renting? My parents just bought a house. They've got a ton of land on it. So we were like, what if we just like bought a tiny home? And this is something we thought about years ago before we even had kids.
Yeah, when we were in California.
Yeah.
But it's really, and there's a great book out there called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. I think the author is, well, I'm not going to embarrass myself. I know that's what the book is called. Mm-hmm. It's written by a pastor, but it's a great book that questions like lifestyle and the pursuit of things. And I think really, as you're saying all this, mm-hmm. I think the underlying theme to all of it is like this this lack of peace that we have created because we're busy. And this goes for everyone.
Striving.
It's not even just striving, but it's, I think, something that's really hard that a lot of people, us included, I'm talking about us, but we just can overbook our schedules. And so and the busier we are, we think sometimes that is being productive, or like we're out here grinding, and that's like, but for what? And it's like, and I don't know, I feel like we've just been questioning a lot of like, is this really worth it? Is the lack of peace worth it? Is the financial stress worth it? And a lot of it is like, these are things that we're kind of in the middle, the time sacrifice. And so it's like, like finances, we're learning about that we need a bigger cushion. I know we looked at Dave Ramsey's program, and he always says have an emergency fund. So we did that, but our emergency fund wasn't big enough because of our, our income isn't like regulated. And so
like it's inconsistent.
And so there's been like a lot of growing and learning pains through that. And I think we're figuring that out, but then we're asking the question through the ups and downs. It's like, is this really worth it? Like, and I think living beneath your means is one of the biggest things that we've taken away, even from the show that you mentioned, but just like, are we living beneath our means? And even for our children's sake, like for Kennedy and Evan, because part of the things we're doing is we're also just going through their toys, and it's like, we've got a toy bin downstairs, a toy bin upstairs,
a whole chest of toys up here.
And it's just like,
for what?
They don't play with half of these toys.
I would say there's maybe 3% of toys that they kind of go to every day. And I know there's that whole like, there's like a bunch of theories around like kids' toys and how you can like switch them out, and it like, I don't know, it's not even good for their brains is what I'm trying to say, to have like so many options of all these different toys, and it's just waste and all that kind of stuff. And that's another, I feel like that's like another concept that we've just been wrestling with. It's like the stuff that we have, and like it's hard because I do really appreciate our things. Like I think
absolutely.
I don't think anything, not anything, that's dramatic, but like when I look around our home, I'm like, oh, I'm really proud of this, and I'm really thankful for this. And it's like something that I think every day I can say that I'm like, wow, thank you, Lord, that we like have all this, and it's not, lost on us, that it's like a gift and a blessing that we have the things that we have and have been able to get the things that we have. But anyway, Seth is leaving tonight. He's going on a guy's trip, which I'm so excited for. It's well deserved. But we're kind of even just talking because like he's been super busy lately. I feel like I've been busy, but like my priorities are a little off, or like just the reality setting in of like, okay, I am like, my kids don't go to school. We don't have a nanny. Like I am full-time mom, but I also have a job like that I need to put effort towards and all that kind of stuff. And want to, like, I love it, but it's been hard lately, just like finding this balance. And I feel like our life lately has just looked like a stress ball.
Chaos.
Yeah.
Chaotic. Yeah.
With our kids. And then, I go to bed and I'm like, okay, we watch a show, we'll put away laundry or something. It's just like, like this is not what I want. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Talking about like our dream. And I think I mentioned this previously. It might have not been in this, but like this vision that we have of like our dream life of just being together. And I think both Seth and I are pretty like I don't want to use the word clingy because that sounds negative, but like we love to be around each other. We love, and I'm so thankful for that. Like that, he is my absolute best friend. Our kids, like Lord willing, they're our friends, but obviously we're in the teacher parent phase right now. But like, I love my family. I love being with my family. I love being with Seth and spending time with him. And it's like, we have this dream to travel and be together and experience life and do all these amazing things. And like the season that we're in right now feels really stressful and feels like a lot. And I think we're just trying to figure out like, okay, like this is necessary if we want to do that one day, like this is a necessary part of it. It's not just going to fall on our lap, but like, do we need to shift the vision a little bit? Because like, is this worth it? Like, feeling so stressed and feeling so behind and feeling like I'm failing in every single area. Like, is this worth it? Like, what if we simplified? Like, would we feel better? Is it because we are living at like the top of our means that we just feel like we need more, even though we have more than enough? Like, it's just a very interesting, like that's just kind of, those are the conversations we've been having, just because it's like, it's a lot.
Yeah. And I think too, something that I've realized, and I love this episode. You guys probably
I'm sorry,
you guys
it's all
probably
over
don't,
the
but
place.
this is a great time like for us to debrief and like I think these podcasts do probably more for Jackie and I than it does for those listeners. But so I sincerely hope that you guys can even take one thing away from this. Like that, to me, that's what I do love about podcasts too, is like, I can listen to something and enjoy it, but I try to take one thing away from the thing I read or listen to. And it's like, if I can take that one thing and apply it to my life and make my life that much better, then that's been absolutely worth it for me. But just, it's like, and everything is relative. Everything that we're talking about is relative. So like, last year we mentioned we had our best year financially relative. That like, I know that. Well, besides
everybody makes a different amount. Like what someone might feel is a ton of money might be not a lot so it's irrelevant. But for us, it was like, our best year.
Right, but then having been on both extremes, to say like at our best from a financial standpoint. We got to move out of our in-laws' house to a house. Like we're feeling like this is
we're doing it.
The fullest life that we've lived together since we've been married for 6 years now, compared to the bottom where it's like, we're on unemployment, we're moving in with our in-laws, like
no job, literally no income.
Yeah, and so it's just like, I feel like at both extremes, I'm still being pointed back to a God, in a sense that like my fulfillment, I'm not fulfilled having nothing, and I'm not fulfilled having lots of things. Like in both scenarios, I feel like I'm still looking for something in life.
Yeah.
And so just, it's hard, or it's interesting to me how God can use both to draw us closer to him. Yeah. And so, and I think that's really the purpose and the longing that I know, at least I feel. It's like I have this desire to have peace. Yeah. In myself, in my marriage, in our home. Like that is just a natural part of
priority,
who I am. Yeah. But then also just like relationally, like having peace is, and understanding that like it's not these things that are fulfilling. Like, and so I think that's really where we're kind of at in terms of like, I don't know, feeling this, it's almost like an urge to simplify. And I will say, there's probably no scientific evidence to this, but as Jackie feels throughout a pregnancy, I really feel like I experienced some of the same symptoms. Like, I know that sounds way
no,
out
I think there is scientific.
but it's like there are certain things along, like she might be in
Yeah.
a spell of like headaches, and I never get headaches, and all of
Yeah.
a sudden it's like, why do I have a headache? Or
Yeah.
like this nesting phase, like, and I'm sure
Yeah.
it's the commonality of like, oh, you're doing this, like I'm gonna do it
Exactly.
with
It's
you.
like
But then I
one of
get in
us
the
is
spirit
sparking
of
the
like,
other.
wow, I do want to nest. I do want to clean the house. Like,
Or like the chiropractor's like, Jack, you need to go to the chiropractor. And he's like, can I go to the chiropractor?
yeah, it's just
Like, oh, I need you to rub my back.
so
Yeah.
I don't know, but that I just feel like that urge to simplify has really been.
Yeah, and nothing at the end of the day for either of us, like nothing is worth our relationship, our peace, our joy, our freedom in a sense. Like nothing to us, like when we like hit a point where we're like, oh, this doesn't seem to be working. Like this seems like it's a lot and something kind of needs to change. Then we're like, all right, then something's got to change, because that I think is part of, and I think I'm so thankful, because I feel like that comes with both of our desires, I don't know, to have something great, to experience life in whatever way that looks like, ends up looking like, for the sake of like our family, our joy, our peace, our, relationship with the Lord. Like we're kind of willing to do whatever it takes. And I love that so much,
Yeah.
And but this like uneasiness and this like these conversations of like a tiny home, or should we homeschool, which that's a whole other conversation, and we have no idea. Like we literally have no idea. We see nothing. That's such a lie. I was about to say we see nothing wrong with the school system. That's not true. We see a lot of issues, but we are not like opposed to sending our kids to school at all. There's pros and cons to both options. I'll say that, but we can talk about that another time. Either way, it's like we're kind of like, what do we need to do? Are there changes we need to make? Do I need to quit my job? Do you need to get a different job? Like whatever is necessary. Do we just need a perspective and like a heart shift? And that's kind of a conversation we literally had this morning, because I've been so stressed and just feeling like, and just the way that I am and the way that I process stress is like pretty personal. Like I'm not like, I feel like I'll always let Seth know. Like I'll always communicate to him like I'm having a really hard time. But like in a day, it's like right there, and I'm just trying to just like do what I need to do regardless. But it's just like, okay, I can't do this anymore. Like this is really hard. So I feel like every day has kind of just been like, okay, like I feel stressed. I feel overwhelmed. I feel like I don't have the grace to do. I know that I have it, but it doesn't feel like it. And like, I know that I have the grace for today, and I know I need to operate in that, but like my patience, it's like, it just feels like a lot, and then work and this and that. And so even this morning, it's like, do I need the perspective shift? Like, is this season that we're in fine, and I just need to toughen up or wake up a little earlier or whatever? It's like, I feel like we're sort of trying to figure out what needs to change, if something needs to change. But I also appreciate it, just because I feel like that is part of the work that comes with, and the intentionality that comes with something that you want to succeed. So even a relationship, it's like, if I see some holes in my marriage, or if I see something's not working, or you kind of are bitter with me, or you have an attitude when I come home at the end of the day, like something's clearly off. Mm-hmm. How much do I care about this thing to be great? Because I can let this go. I can let this stay like this forever. Like we can continue to live like this, or we can do something about it. So let's like get to that root. And it's scary to do sometimes, but it's also necessary. So I feel like that's kind of where we're at, but it's like a good thing.
Mm-hmm. I think you touched on it, but my last point would probably be, and I think I saw this in the documentary that we're watching on Netflix. What's it called again?
How to Get Rich.
How to Get Rich. It's about money, but it's also about like life.
Yeah.
But in it, there's like this common theme of like questioning the status quo, and like what. Cause I think the guy is his name's Remit Sethi, and
wow, I'm shocked you remember that.
I don't know
I
why.
had no idea.
But he asked the question. He's like, "What does your rich life look like?" In the sense that, like, it's defined. Your rich life isn't defined by you or I'm sorry,
money.
It's not defined by society, but it's defined by you. Where I think we live in a culture where we let society define so many things, and then we just get caught up in it. And I think that's that's kind of what we're talking about today. Is like we have this feeling that like we're caught up in the societal norms, and it doesn't feel like it's fitting well or fitting right.
No.
And so now we're in the middle of like questioning, okay, now do we just need to like get used to it? Like, is it did I just go from wearing Goodwill suits to getting a custom suit now that feels way better even though it's different? Or is it not fitting and I need to get out of it? So like that's kind of where we're at. But I definitely think there's a lot of things. And like one of the examples, someone wanted to buy a house, and he's challenging them to say, is buying a house is the American dream, but is that really the best thing for you in your situation? And so I was like, well, I've grown up always thinking like you
buy a home,
you get a job, you go work 40 hours a week, you buy a house, you whatever, and that's life. And so like, I don't know, I think it's very healthy for us to challenge the status quo.
Yeah.
And not that you have to turn your whole life upside down, but I do think it's important to seek peace in your life. And if you like, just be intentional with listening to yourself and to your spirit and to your spouse to say like, oh, what are the things that you keep telling me or keep bringing to the table? Yeah. Because I don't know, that could really change your life. Like, and the whole tiny house thing, we have no idea if that's something we're going to do. Yeah. But I think that would literally change our lives drastically. And I don't know, like it takes one decision though that could change the trajectory of your life. And it could be, I don't like what I'm doing and I'm going to take a step of faith and go try something that I've always wanted to do. Yeah. And maybe that's the most fulfilling thing. And maybe you fall flat on your face and it's the best learning experience you've ever had. Like, that's the risk of life. But I just feel like there is so much more to life than just living the status quo, because who said the status quo is the right thing to do? And not to say that there isn't wisdom in that, but it's like, no, there's so many to challenge that. Yeah, there's so many studies. Even I was literally watching a video last night about like just the differences in like American culture compared to like just other cultures around the globe, and how mentally unstable we are and how work and money driven we are. And it's like, it just, even though it's normal to us, like there's other ways, not better or worse ways. Well, yes, there are better ways. But that's not to say like what we're doing is terrible, or what you're personally, like what your life looks like is not a good thing. But like, I don't know, like I would say to not, if your spouse has something to say, or if there's something in you that's kind of stirring, like don't be so quick to shoot it down just because
it's uncomfortable or it's different, or your friend or your mom might be like, oh, that's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, don't, like, make sure it's you at the end of the day who's deciding what you want for your life, because it's literally your life, nobody else's. And so I think that's important. And even like, I don't know, like Seth said, like paying attention to those discomforts, and maybe just a conversation comes out of it. But like you said, maybe it literally a decision that changes your life comes out of it. And whatever is worth it to you at the end of the day, it can be worth anything. Like for us, I feel like, to me, anything is worth it. Anything is worth a shot, a try, a consideration, a conversation. I'm never going to look at Seth and be like, no, that's stupid. Like, I don't want to do that. That sounds crazy. How terrible, how uncomfortable, how awful would that be? It's like, all right, let's talk about it, because why not? Like, if something isn't working here, let's change something. And last thing, there was this video that I watched. It was this dad who like sent his daughter to school. I think she was maybe like 4 or 5 or something, maybe even younger, but either way, sent her to school. And like day after day, like he's bawling in the car, she's bawling, and he's like, this is not getting easier. Like there's something about this I don't like that just feels wrong. And of course it's hard sending your kids to school, but for him, he's like, this is not okay with me. Like, this isn't normal. This isn't working. And everyone is different. So not everyone is going to feel amazing sending their kids to school. Not everyone is going to feel at peace homeschooling or capable, or not everyone's going to have the desire to homeschool their kids. Not everyone's going to have the desire to go live off the grid and teach your kids with nature, like whatever. My point is, what's right for someone might not be right for someone else. And he was just like, I couldn't do it anymore. And there were people that said, no, it gets better. And he's like, this isn't getting better for me though. Mm-hmm. So he's like, I can make a decision and pull her out and homeschool her and do something different that works for me. Or I can continue to like hope that this works out, even though I'm not feeling good about it, but other people are telling me that it gets better and it's okay and this is normal. He's like there was clearly something in him that was just like, for you, this is fine. For me, it's not fine. So I have to do something for me, for the benefit of my family and my peace and my daughter. So he took her out of school, and it's been incredible. And it's just like an example of like everyone is so different. So who's to say that, like, yeah, the American dream, you go to school, you go to school, you get a good job, you buy a home, you have however many kids, you whatever. It's like, who's to say that that is for you, that is going to work for you, that's what you want. And if you don't want it, something's wrong with you or off. Like, if you just don't feel good about, maybe you and your husband make a ton of money, or you and your spouse make a ton of money, but like something's off in your relationship, or something doesn't feel right about it. And like, I don't know. It's like, okay, it sounds crazy for one of you guys to leave your job and make less, but like, you guys feel better about it, so be it. There's no right answer when it comes to like, if it's working for you, And
I think that's a great point, is that it's not that the system is good or bad necessarily, but is it good or bad for you?
Yeah.
And the way that you are using it, are you using it for your advantage, or are you abusing it and it's abusing you? And I think that's why I keep hearing this voice in my mind that's like, when I say don't, like, I would strongly say challenge the status quo. Like, whatever you do, I would challenge it. And I even really think religion, like, and I think when I think of that, I hear like almost like a parent's voice be like, oh, don't challenge it. Like, it's just like, this is the way that it is. But until you And now being a parent, I almost would rather my child challenge it and to the point that they can take it and understand it for themselves as opposed to not.
Absolutely.
As opposed to just blindly being led or following into something. Because until you do that, you're not going to have an ownership of it. And you're going to be working for that thing as opposed to having that thing work for you. And so just I would strongly encourage anyone, and I'm speaking more to Kennedy and Evan right now, of just like, if you want to go out and try something, obviously with caution, like,
I'm gonna give you the facts.
Yes, but like, I would rather you go out and learn it and make the mistakes for you to then to have actually learned and gained something, as opposed to just doing something because someone told you to do it, and that's how society wants us to do it. And
like, if you believe me, if you can trust me, and like, okay, mommy said this and I believe her, and I don't want to try that because but it's like, if that's your reasoning, great. But if your reasoning is, mommy said, and I don't really know if that's the truth or not, I'm like, no, go ahead.
But even like, us as adults, like, I'm thinking
absolutely.
Just from, the generation of my parents to myself to now our kids, like, I want to challenge things because
that's what we had to do,
Right. And if I don't do it, though, then it's just like, oh, I'm just trying to take someone else's model and apply it to my life and hope that I get the same results that they do.
Yeah.
And when I try that, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work for me. Or at least it doesn't work as well as it might appear to be working for them.
Yeah.
So.
No, absolutely. I like it.
Yeah.
That's all we have for you. Also, side note before we sign off here, our washer dryer came with like a plethora of bugs.
German cockroaches that thankfully it wasn't like an infestation, but it was like, we all of a sudden got these, and now I'm scared to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night because there's a cockroach in the bathroom. And so we had the pest control people come, and I think they handled it because there's like no new ones. But man, that was what we get for paying $300 for a set. And the one that came was literally not even the one in the picture. Like, I was trying to tell him to take it back, and Jackie's like, no,
like,
we need a washer dryer.
We do. And I'm thankful.
And
I'm thankful.
Into this house.
I know. But it's worth it. I wouldn't trade it for the world because, I mean, I would trade it for a brand new pair of washer dryer, but that's not an option here. So if it's between this and not having one, I'm so thankful we have one.
Touché.
But yeah, that was just like a funny thing that we were like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, why? But we appreciate you guys listening and hope you can take anything from this. We're just, these are kind of the things that we're thinking about and conversations we're having. I'm so sad you're leaving. Seth's leaving tonight. I said that already, but he's gone till like Sunday, which doesn't matter to you, but who knows what
again. I'm Seth.
Stop cutting me off. Okay, anyway, it's just because he has to pack and he's nervous. Okay.
No, I don't. It's just
our children are going to wake up. That's probably why.
Rambling, that children come in.
How rude can you be? Okay, ready.
I forgot our sign off now.
I'm Seth. And I'm Jackie.
This is Never TMI. And we're
abruptly signing off. Peace out.